Hello and welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation, your channel that brings you your Rangers news every single day, guys. If you need your daily Rangers update, if you need to keep on top of all the latest Rangers news, reviews, updates, statements, signings, everything, you need to please hit that sub, ring that notification bell, and if you can give this video a like, guys, I would greatly appreciate it. It would just help out with that very complicated YouTube algorithm. Anyway, let's talk all things Rangers this morning or this afternoon or even this evening, depending on obviously when you are picking up this video. So it's match day. It's weird, isn't it? Saying match day on a Tuesday, but I suppose it's something we may have to get used to. European nights upcoming at Ibrox with the first Champions League qualifier tie on the 9th of August. I was thinking it's Wednesday. And then obviously what happens after that? It could be more Champions Leagues, some more Tuesday, Wednesdays. It could be a Thursday night Europa League. Who knows? But certainly Rangers are taking it very seriously, as we can see from the number of signings that have been made this summer, and more on that shortly in this video. We will be talking a little bit of Danilo, a little bit of Cifuentes, and also how Rangers have submitted a bid for a centre-half as well, after many of us thought that they would not go after a centre-half given the emergence of Johnny Yefeko. It's not easy to say. Anyway, tonight, Rangers take on Olympiacos at Ibrox. The 47 times Greek champions come to Ibrox, having last season finished third in the Greek Super League. They were behind Panathinaikos and AEK Athens, which was not great. They didn't enjoy that. Their head coach has departed back to Spain. And they've undergone a period of transition themselves, really, this summer as they seek to rebuild to try and get their Greek Super League title back. Olympiacos, a team that are used to winning, much like our very own Rangers. Quite what team Michael Beale will put out tonight, who knows? A lot of people are hoping that Michael will field somewhere close to his strongest lineups in the next two friendlies, particularly, with Olympiacos being a team that usually plays Champions League football. This will be good preparation. Now, obviously, Olympiacos will not be in the Champions League this season, having finished third last season. They will play in the Europa League this season. So there's still a possibility we could meet them in the Europa League if Rangers were to drop into that competition. But it's good preparation nonetheless for that European qualifier tie, playing a team like Olympiacos, as it will be playing a Bundesliga team like Hoffenheim on Saturday. It's two very similar teams, two teams that want to regain their domestic crowds, two teams that want to get back to the top of their league. And I think it'd be two teams that want to go out and show that they have got the players and have got the staff and have got the squad to compete this season and really lay down a marker. So it should be quite a competitive game tonight at Ibrox. Rangers obviously have played the two preseason games so far, the 2-1 defeat to Newcastle and the 2-1 victory over Hamburg. But like I said, it's going to be a situation where hopefully, like tonight, Michael will field close to his strongest team. Obviously, with the fact that the Danilo and the Cifuentes deals haven't yet been fully completed, more of that later, we will obviously not have those two available for tonight. But it is obviously a lot of talk about hopefully the likes of Dessers, Lammers, Dowell, Seema, Cantwell. We'll see all those players start from the out tonight, as perhaps Rangers got to really lay down a marker with their team. There's a lot of very, very talented players we've signed this summer. 7 signings made so far. And I think, the more of those players we see tonight, the better, as we try to gel this squad together ahead of that game, obviously against Kilmarnock at Rugby Park on the first day of the season, which will be brought to you live here on this channel, as well as obviously the Champions League qualifier against either Servette or Genk, which obviously the first leg took place last night, which was I don't know if any of you wanted to catch that game, but it was a 1-1 draw out in Servette, putting obviously Genk, the Belgian team, in the pole position. Genk took the lead through a player called Arakadare, and Servette equalised in the 77th minute with a goal from a player called Ruyer. I think that's how you pronounce it. I massacre names here on the channel. This is then, so Espanyol's new coach is a guy, not Espanyol, that's who he was at. The new Olympiacos coach is Diego Martinez. He's 42 years old. He was previously with Espanyol, but they were relegated from La Liga last season. So I suppose he comes with the best past record. Olympiacos have played 3 games already this pre-season. Their most recent was a 1-1 draw with Sabah of Azerbaijan. Their preseason record hasn't been that great to date, actually. If we look back at their preseason record, there's been an awful lot of draws in those games. They haven't exactly set the world alight. I suppose you could argue that Rangers haven't exactly set the world alight yet in any of their games, but the performances have been encouraging for me. Olympiacos also drew 1-1 with a Norwegian team called Norgesland, I think it's pronounced, and won 2-1 against a team called Slovako. So they haven't really played anyone yet, and I suppose that's Rangers are going to be their first big test. In their last game, their star striker Youssef El Arabi, definitely a name to watch for tonight if he plays, scored their goal. He also scored against Norgesland as well. He is a very, very talented player and someone definitely to watch. Has a very good goals to games record for Olympiacos. This guy is, I think he's a Moroccan international. He is a striker that has an eye for goal, quality player. So someone definitely the Rangers will need to keep their eye on. But he is a veteran player. He is 36 years old. He scored 64 goals in 131 appearances since joining Olympiacos in 2019. So, at the end of the day, they have got an experienced squad. They've got some decent players. No world-class names that jump out of their squad list. So you look at that form, like I said, Olympiacos 2 draws and a win. Rangers, and if you take their last 6 games, which is their form in all competitions, Olympiacos coming to this friendly, have got 2 losses, 3 wins, and a draw. So it's going to be a tough game. I think they'll come and they'll give us a test. Of course they will. It'll be good preparation for the Champions League. One of their top players, 30-year-old player called Ahmed Hassan Koka, will be out. He's one of their top strikers. He suffered a knee injury back in May. He is also out. And one of their top fullbacks, a guy called Doran Liedner, he sustained a cruciate ligament injury. He is also out as well. Their projected starting lineup, and let's go through it and see how many names I can slaughter, is Tassalakis, Rebeku, Notoi, Bar, that's quite easy to say, and Andrew Totis, Buchalakis, Ibora, Fortunis, Beal, no, not Michael, Masouris, and El Arabi. That is their possible starting lineup. Many people want to see, I think, Rangers' strongest lineup tonight. I really don't want to see Sakala and Matondo up front. I want to see Dessers. I want to see Lammers. I want to see Seema. I want to see a full strength attacking lineup in this game. A test. Let's go and see what we've got. Let's play our strongest lineup. Let's really test out them and really test out ourselves as well to see where we're at. Yes, by all means, obviously make substitutions at half time, bring on the likes of Sakala, Matondo, etc. But realistically, hopefully Beale is looking at this as a way to test his starting players. And look, as well as Sakala's done last season with his numbers and in the game on Saturday against Hamburg, Sakala is a squad player. He's not a starter. If we're going into the first game of the season with Sakala starting, then something I think has gone badly wrong. Sakala is not a starting quality player. He is a squad player at the end of the day. I mean, let's face it, any player that can go from world beater to carpet beater in the space of 0.1 seconds is not really a player you want to be depending on for the season. Matondo really does need to be shipped out. He has been poor so far. He was poor at the end of last season. So I want to see our new signings play. I want to see these players really go out there and show off their skills and their talents and show us exactly what we've got. I don't think, with the best will in the world, Dessers Lammers did very well on Saturday. Don't get me wrong. But, when you're making that amount of changes into a second half, bringing on 5 players, then another 5 players, you cause the team to become very disjointed. You cause the team to become, to lose that gel, to lose that flow. It disrupts the flow of the game. And perhaps you can't always see the best of those players. So, for me, I think we really need to see now a kind of gelling and a working together of what is probably going to be our first team. So, you're realistically looking at it, Sakala, Matondo, Hadji are not going to make the first starting 11. You're going to look at guys like Lammers, Seema, Dessers, Cantwell, maybe Dowell in there as well. And you want to see a gel of those players up front and how they work together and how they can start games and how they can come together. And that's what you need to see, I think, over these next 2 games against Olympiacos and against Hoffenheim as well. So that's really what we want to see going in, I think, tonight. And I will be watching the game. It'd be great to there will be no live stream tonight. I've got work, so I'm going to watch it at work. But it is a situation where I think, we do need to see our best team go out there tonight and really push Olympiacos. Well, Rangers have And we will get to Cifuentes and Danilo in a minute, so don't worry, I haven't forgotten about them. According to a number of reports this morning, Rangers are looking to make signing number 10 this summer. Michael Beale did say, didn't he, in that post-match press conference, which I think was a bit of a reaction to the game after the Scottish Cup semi-final defeat to that lot from across the city at Hampden, that he could see easily 12 players coming in and 12 players going out this summer. It seems that Rangers are looking to take their number of signings to 10. Now, after the signing of Leon Balogun, who obviously came on a free after he was released by QPR, and the injury to Leon King, which then turned out to not be as bad as we first all feared it would be, there was a lot of talk in the media, and certainly amongst Rangers pundits and Rangers analysts and insiders, that maybe Rangers were quite happy with the centre halves that they had, and there wouldn't be any further acquisitions to that centre half group, given the fact that we had Davis, we had Suter, Goldson looks to be on his way back. So look at the training videos yesterday, he does look to be fit and raring to go. You've got obviously as well to add into that, Leon Balogun, Leon King to return, Johnny Yefeko can play there, even though he's more a left back. So there is a lot of talent there. However, there's news this morning that Rangers have submitted a bid of £3 million to Arsenal for their centre-back, Austin Trusty. I mean, what a fabulous name that is. Austin Trusty. You can trust in Trusty. I'm sure we can get a song out of that somewhere. I'm sure there's some sort of lyrics that would fit with that. Out there in the world, but hey ho, I leave it to the Union Bears to come up with that one. But apparently Arsenal want closer to $5 million for the USA international. Trusty's situation is slightly complicated by the fact that he was bought by Arsenal from Colorado Rapids. Now, for those of you who don't know, Colorado Rapids are an MLS team that are owned by Stan Kroenke. Arsenal are an English Premier League team that are owned by Stan Kroenke. So it kind of strange that Stan Kroenke kind of paid himself £3 million for a player from one club to another. So it's a bit of a complicated one there. Now, quite how obviously that would affect any movement on transfer fee downwards or in any way, shape, or form, any negotiation process is unknown. But it does seem rather odd that Stan Kroenke can sell one of his players from another one of his teams from a team that he owns and effectively pay himself £3 million. It's very odd indeed. Austin Trusty was questioned about his future after he's currently out with Arsenal on their pre-season tour, but he would not be drawn on the position. He said, "I'm not necessarily focused on any of that. I'm here at Arsenal now, and I'll take it day by day. I'll just go to training and do my job, and any opportunity I've got to come here and do my job. It's been a grind, but I think no matter what, as a player, as a person throughout your life, you go back to yourself and you have to back your ability and believe in yourself. I did the entire time from Philadelphia to Colorado to now. I back myself and I believe in my play. I believe in my abilities and I believe in what I can do in the future. It just gets better and better, and you have to get more focused the higher you go. But it's been awesome. It's such a blessing. I'm so honored to be in this position." Listening to what else he said in that interview, it's clear that he wants to play football. He wants to play first team football. Realistically, he is not going to get to do that at Arsenal. You look at the situation at Arsenal with the players that they've got, with where they achieved last season, the runners up in the English Premier League. He is not a player that is going to reckon for Mikel Arteta's team this season. So there is a high likelihood that Arteta will allow him to leave. He did have loan experience last season at Birmingham. He spent the entire season on loan at Birmingham and was a very impressive player. I think he even won their Supporters Player of the Year, which shows how highly he was regarded. It does seem that Rangers will go back in with another bid for the player and will seek to get this deal over the line. He does seem like a player that suits Rangers. He is a left-sided centre-back. He's quick. He reads the game well. His distribution is good. And he certainly is a physical player. He has that physical element to his game. I saw him play a couple of times for Birmingham last season. I do watch some English Championship football down here in England, and he is definitely a player that has that physicality to his game. So he would be a very good acquisition. For me, he is a better player than Jonathan Panzo. Panzo, to me, has a mistake in him a lot. He does seem to have a little bit of uncertainty to his game at times, Panzo, and does seem to be a bit rash in the challenge, whereas that doesn't seem to be the case with Trusty. To me, Trusty, or even a lad like Cresswell from Leeds, would be better bets for Rangers if we are really going to truly get that dominant centre-half pairing. it will be difficult if Trusty is brought into him to break into the team. Obviously, with Connor Goldson and John Suter, we have two excellent centre halves. Goldson being our leader, our communicator at the back, and John Suter, I think, being by far our best centre back. And if we can keep Suter fit, he will be a superstar this coming season. But you've got to have cover back there. A lot of people don't rate Ben Davies. Don't think he's got the physicality to cope in the Scottish Premier League. Leon King, again, is another one, very young lad who perhaps, at the highest level might not be up to the task. That is certainly something that a lot of fans are saying. And Balogun, I think, is more for cover. So certainly a player like Austin Trusty would be an excellent purchase for the club. So it is to be hoped, obviously, we can get that deal over the line sooner rather than later. Okay, so Danilo. So yesterday we brought you news that the Danilo deal was done. That was obviously confirmed by a number of Dutch outlets. Yes, obviously the club have not yet announced that deal formally. However, it was also on Sky Sports News last night. Sky Sports brought you news that the Rangers had agreed a deal for Danilo. Now, apparently the deal is just now obviously undergoing the last few bits and pieces, so the personal terms and his medical. According to reports in the media this morning and on Twitter and on other social media sites, Danilo will arrive in Glasgow this week for his medical ahead of a move to the club. According to all reports, Danilo is very keen to get this move done, dusted, and through as soon as possible. He wants to be a Rangers player. He wants to be at the club. And that's great news. The fact that a player wants to be here, that he wants to play for the club, that's half the battle. The fact that you've got a player that actually wants to pull the shirt on and actually wants to get out and fight for the shirt is what you need if you're going to be successful. Danilo is an exceptionally talented player. As I said in the video yesterday, he's quick. He's got an eye for goal. He likes a shot from distance. He will take pot shots from anywhere. He's got very much that Brazilian tendency in him. And that was certainly something that was lacking from Rangers last season, that clinical finishing that Danilo will bring. And if you look at Feyenoord fan sites this morning, Feyenoord fans are raging over the selling of Danilo. They don't want him sold. They don't want him gone. They are not happy at all the club are allowing him to leave, which really does show you the type of player that we've got. When supporters are raving about a player and cross and angry that a player is leaving their club, it doesn't tend to be because he's a bad player. It tends to be because he's a very valuable player, a good player. The same position, I think, for us, if we allowed Cantwell or Raskin to leave. Imagine how angry we would be if we allowed Raskin to leave now. We would be exceptionally cross. I think that's the same situation with Danilo and Feyenoord. Like I said, it does appear that this deal is just now waiting for the last few details. The medical will be completed, and once that is completed, he will be officially unveiled as a Rangers player very, very shortly. Obviously not in time, I don't think, for either of the pre-season games that are remaining, but certainly I think in time for that Champions League qualifier and even perhaps for the Kilmarnock game as well. Michael Beale will obviously be very anxious given his desire to bring the player in, to get the player into Auchenhowie and training with the first team squad as soon as is possible. However, it does seem that Danilo will not be the 8th signing of the summer. He will be the 9th signing of the summer, as it does appear that the Jose Cifuentes deal will be completed and formalised and announced before the Danilo deal. Again, Cifuentes will be flying into Glasgow to complete his medical as well. Certainly exciting times. This has been an amazing summer, guys. If we just reflect on this summer for a moment, what a summer. Yes, there are still players that need to go out, and I do expect now that I think Rangers have pretty much completed their incoming transfer business for the summer. Now we will see players leave, the likes of Glenn Kamara, the likes, obviously, of Scott Wright is completing his deal to Pendixspor, maybe even Robbie McCrory, maybe obviously Robbie Matondo. It's going to be a case, though, of finding buyers for these players and getting the valuations that match our valuation on these players. We cannot be in a position where we are just giving players away because we need to trim our squad. And yes, we do need to trim our squad. Transfer Market, which is one of the top stat sites on the internet, are reporting our squad size as 33 at the moment. I think that is with factoring in some of the young lads like McKinnon, Bailey Rice, etc. But we've still got a rather large squad, a rather large and unwieldy squad at this moment in time. And there is a need to cut that squad down. And I do think over the coming weeks now, as we approach the start of the season, we will see players starting to depart the club. Now the club will concentrate on moving players out they don't need anymore and don't require. Now the business has been formalised. But certainly the signings this summer, you go over some of those names that have been brought in this summer, the Dowells, the Dujon Sterlings, the Dessers, the Seamers, the Danilos, the Cifuentes. The quality is there to see, isn't it? Lammers, there's a lot of quality being brought in this summer. And I think this is a real indication that the board have fully backed Michael Beale. There seems to have been a real sea change in the way the board is operating since James Bisgrove and John Bennett took positions of power within the organisation. Since Stuart Robertson and Douglas Park moved on, John Bennett and James Bisgrove have really moved the club into a very forward-thinking, very much progressive era, haven't they? You know, you would have seen, certainly in the past, the likes of Cifuentes not arriving till January, Rangers waiting and saving money. But it seems that, you know, that John Bennett, that Bisgrove are very much listening to Michael Beale. They're looking at what Michael Beale wants, and they want to give Michael the best possible chance to succeed. And like, all I can say is hats off to John Bennett, hats off to James Bisgrove. You know, they're doing everything they can behind the scenes to make this a very successful season. And in terms of the fan engagement, the singing sections, the work on the stadium that's been done and is upcoming, you know, this is a regime now, I think, in Bennett and Bisgrove that are really progressive and are moving this club forward. And look, the board doesn't often get praised, does it? You don't often praise a board. You don't often hear teams' fans actually going out and praising a team's board. But I want to formally praise James Bisgrove, formally praise John Bennett for the work they've done so far. It's been absolutely excellent. And as fans, I don't think we can have any complaints about what the club have done this summer for the fans and for Michael Beale as well. So, you know, well done to James Bisgrove, well done to John Bennett as well. And thank you for all your hard work over this summer. It's obviously not done yet. We still need to prepare the team and get the team ready for the first game of the season, the competitive season, once it gets started, and those ever so vital Champions League playoffs. Well, guys, let me know what you think of the stories we've discussed this morning, this afternoon, or this evening on the podcast. Thank you so much for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation. If you're going to the game tonight, let me know in the comments below. And if you've been, and then tomorrow, obviously, as well, I'd love to hear from you about the game. We will do a post-match look back on the game and what we thought of the game, etc., tomorrow. But thank you again so much for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation. Please help this channel keep growing. We're on over 2,700 subs now as we move towards that 3K target by the end of August, and hopefully 5K by December, the end of December this year. Thank you so much for your support. And as always, guys, I need you to do two things for me. Just two things. Number one, hit that like on this video. And number two, remember always, we are the people.